Hello, I'm W.T. Edmondson and welcome to Focus. Freedom often causes unbelievable silence. Well, of course, Focus' intent is to inform and educate the public to action. Many times our citizens simply don't know what's going on. And so our attempt in this program is to inform you about public transportation. The Citizens for Jeff Tran have been working for a number of years in an attempt to improve public transportation. They have planned an event that will be coming up on April the 30th, and so they are here to talk about that as well as public transportation in general. We have with us Mr. Tony Hammond, and he is a regular on Jeff Tran and Handy Wheels. He is a board member of Jefferson City Faith Voices, and he is also a volunteer with First Baptist Church. Ms. Paula Schulte is a public relations spokesperson for Missouri Regional Library, and she is a participant with Faith Voices for Jefferson City, Citizens for Jeff Tran, and she is a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Mr. Brian Kaler is a staff person with ChurchNet. He's an author, and he participates with the Faith Voices for the Jefferson City, and he is with Citizens for Jeff Tran, and we were told that he has a 3-year-old son. He is a former university professor and a member of First Baptist Church. Ms. Vicki Schultzmeyer is a participant with Faith Voices for Jefferson City and a Citizen for Jeff Tran. She's on the board of the Jefferson City Daycare Center and the Historic City of Jefferson and the Community Volunteer, and she is a member of First Presbyterian. So as you see, we have a diverse group here in a number of ways. And so they will be talking about the diversity of the people who ride the local transportation. And so as we talk about transportation, think about for yourselves how transportation benefits Jefferson City. You may not have to utilize transportation, but think about your next door neighbor. Okay, let's get started. All righty. First question is, how did Citizens for Jeff Tran first come about?
A couple years ago, there was a proposal to dramatically cut transportation during the middle part of the day. And Faith Voices for Jefferson City and others in the community, even businesses and medical offices, realized how detrimental that'd be for so many of their patients and clients. So people got organized and went to the city council meetings and said, no, this is bad for our city. Let's do better. And Citizens for Jeff Tran just was kind of the grassroots organization that has mobilized that desire to do better on transportation. Okay.
How do you go about mobilizing a group of individuals who are basically individuals who find a need? There's a need, but many people in Jefferson City don't need Jeff Tran, so they're really not interested. So how do you pull a diverse group of people together to say, this may not benefit me personally, but as a whole it does?
Well, I think we are aware of our neighbors often in our community, and we also, employers came and said, this really hurts me. I can't keep this employee because they have to go home at 9 o'clock at night. They can't get here, I can't get them home. As people talked, I mean, we're a community. We communicate with one another and we care about one another. And public transit is an issue that connects us all to one another and connects us to services and opportunities and growth that we need.
Okay. General question here. Why should I care about public transit? Like many residents, as I said, if I want to go to Walmart, I jump in my car and go. So why should I care?
Well, I think a key aspect that's at issue here is community, which is what Vicki just mentioned. And accessibility is key to community. And so if we want to be more than just a bunch of houses that happen to be living close to each other and people who happen to maybe not look at each other as we're going down the aisle of Walmart, right? If we want to be a community, then we have to make sure that everyone in the community can actually get places. Because if people can't get somewhere, they're not really fully part of the community. And that's a serious issue when we have some limited accessibility with the current Jeff Tran system.
I would like everyone to speak to that one.
I also think that it extends beyond just those who absolutely need to have that mass transit option. When I was in college, I was attending school out west, and I lived in a community where they had a bus that ran from just a couple locations to the mall. That was the meat of their mass transit. And it became a community issue. They decided that they wanted to have a larger transit system. And people said, nobody's going to ride it. Why would they ride this? But, you know, it's been coming up on 30 years ago now. But it's transformed that area. It's gone from being a very small transit system to having light rail and, you know, pretty major services. And it has increased the quality of life for that community. It was a very forward-thinking thing to do at the time. It provides access to all sorts of areas, decreases the number of cars on the road, decreases parking issues, and increases accessibility for everyone to the places that they need to go.
Tony?
Okay, first I'd like to make a correction to your introduction. I'm not a volunteer at First Baptist, I'm a member at First Baptist, okay? And coming from that point of view, spiritually speaking, I'm a Christian and a true committed Christian. And I want for my brothers and sisters what I want for myself. I'm an actual transit rider every day. I depend on, I rely on it to get where I need to go and where I need to be for the commitments that I have made in this community. And if we can, like Brian said, if we can go, shop together, eat together, live next door to each other, go to school together, work together, then we should be able to want that for everybody to be able to get to those places just like we can, well, not me, but just like you can, if you jump in your automobile and get there. Mine is more time consuming. I have to, you know, make preparations like hours in advance to get to where I'm going because I'm riding public transit. So it's very much needed, and I hope that through these conversations and through these requests that we are making, that the people become more aware that it's important for us to have this, because you got people with disabilities, like myself. You got people who can't drive, who don't know how to drive, and you got people who just can't afford a car. So they need public transportation in this area, and they need it more so than is provided right now, and that's the issue that we are working on now.
Okay. When you're talking about providing better, more transportation, the people that sit around City Hall's decision-making table, they're thinking budget. How do you speak to decision makers whose focus is bottom line, focus is other services for the city? How do you bring them back to what we just got through speaking of?
Well, I know that there are 4 topics that we're talking about within Citizens of Jeff Tran, and we are talking to decision makers at City Hall every day. One is better information about the service we have. They are currently working on a new web page. They've just put out a Facebook page, and we've publicized a lot of things about the service in order to engage more people in the community, because even people who use the service may not be aware fully of all the options it provides. But the other things are all increases. Increased ridership, increased participation and use of the existing service provides revenue and the people power to expand service. So expanded and increased service is another aspect of what we believe needs to happen and can benefit the whole community. And then with increased ridership, with increased support for this, we believe that there'll be increased revenue. Both the revenue, a small portion of what it costs for the overall system comes from riders, but the increase of that revenue, but also the increase of revenue from institutions that recognize the value that this provides for their clients, their students, their customers, and people my age. I didn't really talk about how I personally got involved in this, but friends of mine who are reducing their time driving are passionate about being able to still engage in life just like they have at a younger age. And effective, safe transportation is the way to do that. When you can't drive at night, if we had decent bus service, we could use that in the evening.
I think that when you're talking bottom line, when you're talking budget, that transportation needs to be one of those, it's one of those very basic services, just like the fire department or the police department. And when you have a vibrant transportation system within a community, you attract more of the businesses that you are wanting to attract. You allow people to have ways to get to work. It creates an environment that is more amenable to a healthy economy. And I think that is one of the key points. I mean, we heard that over and over again this election cycle. We want to create an environment that is welcoming to businesses, and transportation is one of those key issues that will make it a better environment for businesses.
Yeah, and you asked the questions in the right order of why should we care about this issue, and then the budget question. Right. And that's important to make sure that city officials are also asking those questions in that order instead of starting with the budget, which unfortunately sometimes the conversation is, well, we don't have money for that. But the job of government, and particularly local government that's closest to the people, is to start with the question of what must we do? What are the essential services, police, firefighters, and so forth? What are the things that we must do? And then, once we decide what those priorities are, we'll try to figure out how to pay for it. And so we have to make sure we don't start with the budget question, because that's getting our priorities mixed up. We have to start with, is this something we must do? And if so, then we'll start the hard work of figuring out how we pay for the services that we decide we must do.
You spoke about businesses.
Yes.
I'm surprised that local businesses have not been beating City Hall's doors down. Because, you know, when I, at 12, 1, 2 o'clock, well, hardly ever out that late, but anyway, you know, late at night, and you go to Walmart, there's always people there working. You go to McDonald's, there's always somebody there working. And a lot of these people are minimum wage workers. And so, you know, you think about how do they get there? And then depending on whether they're working a full shift or part of a shift, how do they get home?
Well, actually, there have been business leaders who have spoken to the City Council on that very topic over the last year and a half as we've advocated for expanded transit. The owner of Chick-fil-A, the manager of Colton's Steakhouse, different people on behalf of realtors who said, I can sell more real estate on houses that are on bus routes, and other folks who recognize that it's a way for people to get to and from recreational opportunities. It is good for business, and it's good for, we've done a survey online, and the downtown and the mall are two key retail areas that almost all of the survey responders, and we at this point have about 100 people who've taken this voluntary online survey, have said that's what they use it for. They use the existing bus service to go to those shopping areas. Well, if I owned a business in one of those locations, I'd be trying to plug in bus riders and get them there on the days it runs, Monday through Friday.
Tony, you spoke about just basic needs that you have and the importance of being able to do that. Speak to that a little bit.
Well, excuse me. Well, I wrote it down. You know, like I got a disability in my legs. I got neuropathy, and I can drive, but I can't trust my leg because I lose control of it sometimes. So, in the area of safety, I choose not to drive for the safety of me and other people. But I need I'm committed to various organizations, Faith Voices of Jefferson City. I'm committed to the Citizens for Jeff Tran. I'm committed to Community Needs Mentoring Team in my church, and who we are working on the homeless task force right now. And I can get to a lot of these meetings when they start, but I can't get back unless somebody from those meetings bring me back home. And I love my independence in a way, though. If I be able to get there and back, that makes me feel good about myself. And I can get out and go and do things when I choose to do them, not when somebody else has time to do them for me. I have medical appointments to attend. I have, I work at my church as well in the kitchen on Wednesdays and sometimes on Thursday when we feed the community, and I have to get there. But then people will bring me back home because there's no bus service available after a certain time in the evening. And everything that I do, as far as waking up in the morning, planning my day, involves public transportation. I have to make sure that I look at the schedule and make sure that I get there the time that I need to get there. So it's real important to me and many of me, hundreds of me's that need this service. Because we just ain't in a position like people with automobiles and stuff like that. So we need public transportation there for us.
As you all mobilized and began to discuss transportation, how did the concept or idea about the Public Transit Advisory Committee or Commission come about? How did that materialize?
That was an idea that came out of something that Columbia had done a couple years ago. And we thought, well, that will be a way to get better public input. We did not anticipate it would take so long for the city council and then the previous mayor to recognize the value of the creative energy and ideas that are right here in the middle of our community. And fortunately, that did occur, and they were appointed in January. They'll be meeting again May 12th to discuss some of the ideas that we'll be giving to them on the 30th of April. We have the results from this survey, and we have a video we've prepared. We're looking forward to the entire community gathering for this open house event on this coming Thursday from 11:30 to 1, so that we can talk and share, and these ideas can kind of percolate and be brought to the attention of the elected city leaders for Jefferson City.
Okay. Now, ride the bus and connect to Jeff Tran. Real catchy. But what does it mean? What does it mean?
Use Jeff Tran to get there.
Okay.
Somebody else amplify that.
I'll weigh in on it from the way I understand it, what it means. It means that for one day, you get out of your car and you get on the bus and you ride the bus to work and for that whole day and get back home on the bus and get that experience of how everyday people without cars that do it. And get a sense to get to know the elected officials, talk to them, and hear some concern from people like me that's going to be there, people who ride the bus every day, and hear their story. Maybe you'll start feeling a little more empathy for them and, get on board with it and start supporting them more.
Okay.
I think there are people in this community who are very good-hearted and forward-thinking people who don't recognize, they don't realize how many people actually use the bus for their everyday needs. And those people, initially when you start talking about Jeff Tran, they may say something like, well, it doesn't run enough hours or it doesn't meet my specific needs, so why would I use the bus? But then when you start talking to them and you tell them about or you introduce them to people who use that service and they say, well, why doesn't it? why it should do these things. And so by having an event that encourages people to come together and to ride that bus and to meet people and to talk, we're hoping to generate some conversation that will lead to change, to make our mass transit system in Jefferson City more beneficial to a broader audience, and in the process help those who need it the very most. It's a good thing for everybody when this works. It creates that community that we were talking about, and makes it so that we're all together in this, not just just saying, well, that's for somebody else.
And showing up to any type of event is a way of showing a priority. So it's a way of, in essence, we vote with our feet when we show up to any type of event. We say, this is something we care about. I guess this is more voting with your rear end. We're gonna show, we're hoping people will show up and say, even if I don't use this on a regular basis, I think this is important that we have this in Jefferson City. And so if people show up and ride that day and come down to the transfer station for the midday event, it's a way of showing to elected officials that this is something that the community does care about.
I'd like to add something to that. Kristen Hilty, the director of Common Ground, which I'm a volunteer there weekly, she's going to participate in this Ride the Bus Day. So she had no clue as to how to go about catching the bus, where to catch the bus at. So she came to me and asked me. And so I was educating her on what she needed to do, how much time she needed to allot herself, this, that, and the other. And she said she's going to participate. She's going to take it from her home to the transfer station and participate in all the activities going on that day and get information about it, because she works hard in trying to provide bus passes and everything for people who can't afford the bus passes on a regular basis. And she's very much involved in support of transportation.
As I've spoken with people about transit, they say, but the buses are always empty.
You know why? The buses, I've been talking to a lot of people. I did my research. I talked to some people. They said, originally Jeff Tran was set up for state workers to get them to work and from work. So while they get them to work, now they at work all day, and the only time they get buses full again is when they get off work. And then at the same time, people that go to work during the day, during that time period, the students are in school, the people are at work, and there's nobody but people like me who are disabled and not working, and this, that, and other, who are using the buses during their time. So that's why they are empty. That's how
we very much wanted this event this year, this is actually our second year of doing this, to be a chance to practice riding the bus, because all the routes except the Missouri Boulevard route stop at the transfer station, and the fire department museum across the street was incredibly gracious to say, yes, use our space, because that's a natural place, because all the routes stop there, for us to congregate and have this conversation with elected officials. Last year, that occurred up in a parked bus at Lincoln University, and many, many students participated. So our hope this year is that Lincoln students and the community will practice riding the bus and come together to talk about it, as the others and Tony have emphasized.
Talking about Lincoln University students, many students come from metropolitan areas where they are used to mass transit.
Exactly.
Yes.
And those who don't come from metropolitan areas, come from little small towns and stuff, they are used to, getting there best they can. But when you come to a university, especially if you live off campus, you have to really plan to get to class on time and all those type of things. So I guess the students are, how active were the students last year, and what was some of the things that they were saying?
They were very much in favor of expanding transit into the evening hours. And our survey shows that Saturdays and evenings are Expanding to then would really give Jeff Tran a much better product. They would be running when people need to go, because we no longer have so much a system that serves just the state workers or the people who work 9 to 5, as Tony outlined. When it was started, it was designed for that. But we have a lot less traditional hours workers people using it, and this would be a way for us to have the service that's going to sell, that people want to buy.
I talked to some students, and they said that, you know, like you said, they come from different parts of the states, probably different states as well. And, you know, while they're in class, the buses are running. But when they get out of class, they are shut in and locked down on campus unless they, you know, find somebody that has an automobile to get them where they want to go. And it shouldn't be like that. It should be, you know, when I'm out of school or off of work or anything like that, I should be able to go and take care of some shopping, you know, do some socializing or attend some events that's going on after working hours. I can't even do that now, so, you know, that's a problem with me. It's a lot of events that I like to attend throughout the city after the bus is shut down in the working hour that I can't attend unless somebody that's going offer me a ride there and back. So I'm shut in, you know.
Tell us a little bit more about Ride the Bus, Connect to Jeff Tran. A little bit more, time, date, all those type of good things.
Okay, well, April 30th is a Thursday, and get on the bus sometime that morning. Go to the stop nearest where you live or work at the time. Between 11:30 and 1, we'll have an open house at the Fire Department Museum, which is across Miller Street from the transfer station where the buses stop. Get off the bus and go across, participate in that. As I said, Chick-fil-A is providing 120 box lunches for the first 120 participants. We'll have exhibits, we'll have a video running, we'll have an opportunity to take the online survey that the Independent Living Resource Center designed for us. It's really a chance to find out more about Bus Tran. We'll have, we hope, in attendance the entire Public Transit Advisory Committee. The city councilmen are almost all going to be able to be there. And our new mayor, Mayor Turgeon, will be there. So it's a chance to share firsthand with these people, to hear from Lincoln students. We're having a special church shuttle that's bringing people from Lincoln, and also seniors from the Capitol Mall down to be there and to talk and listen and share information, learn more about Jeff Tran.
Okay. Transfer, that just...
Okay, good question.
Okay.
Well, I probably should let Tony, the expert, talk about this. Because when you pay your $1 and get on the bus, say, may I have a transfer? Because when you get off and when you want to get back on the bus to go back home, the transfer is your way home. It's one route, one trip, and so the transfer
No, it don't work,
you.
Doc. It don't work.
It will for the 30th.
Oh, for the 30th.
Yes, yeah, it will. Jeff Tran has been involved in planning this, and they're really, they're excited. They have a good product. Yeah. They'd like to market what they've got, and they like to improve what they've got. So we're in a good situation with their cooperation.
Okay. Tony, explain how the transfer actually works on a daily basis.
It actually works like you get on a bus, like I'm a disabled person, I pay half price. I pay 50 cents to get on the bus. I ask for a transfer to the bus that I need to get to where I'm going. So when I get to the transfer station, which is up on Miller Street, then I would get on that bus and handle my transfer. I don't have to pay no additional fare. And I have to do the same thing on my return trip. So that's how that transfer system works.
So for you, a one trip would cost you $1, there and back?
Yeah, $1.
Okay.
50 cents each way.
Okay.
Anybody else would be $1, $2 trip.
Okay. Well, is there anything else that you all would wish to share with our audience before we close?
I would like to share this. We worked very hard at Citizen Jeff Tran to get the council and public works administration to form this transportation advisory committee, right? And as far as I know, they ain't gonna be at this Ride the Bus event. So we need people to come down, like Vicki said, and share your thoughts and ideas and questions and concerns. These people be there, the councilman will be there, the mayor will be there. Bring your questions with you as well. You know, learn more about public transportation because, it's a service that's going to make. This is the capital city of Jefferson City, and if anything coming out of this particular issue that we are addressing that's really good, it should come from the capital city of Jefferson City because we got some surrounding big cities that probably be going through the same problem that we go, and they can learn from us and how we model this to them. So,
okay. You spoke about Columbia. How successful were they?
Well, they did form a number of transit advisory committees, and they've revamped their entire system. They're seeing some increased usage. I should go back and look at that again because, of course, we need to keep ourselves informed, and we want to be able to inform the Public Transit Advisory Committee. That's the main. What we're trying very hard to do now is to provide input to that committee that we have waited for and worked for so that they can make informed recommendation to the Public Works Committee, which will be advising the council, recommending to the council action for improving our overall system.
Okay. Okay, well, I've been speaking with Vicki Schollmeyer, Bryant Kaler, Paula Schulte, and Tony Hammond, and they are very active participants with Citizens for Jeff Tran. We hope that you will take the time to come out and participate and share your concerns and your ideas. This is a very important event for the citizens of Jefferson City. As they indicated, this could only make the entire city better. And you're talking about bringing businesses to Jefferson City. Everyone would like to say that if I'm coming to Jefferson City to set up shop, I want my people to be able to get there. Hey, we'll see you next time. God bless.
We didn't really hit on